The reader response theory, which is what I learned about, is best known as the reception theory. This theory is a literary theory that highlights the dynamic between the literary work, the author, and the reader. This ideology was intended to be flexible and open-minded to reading, as well as being prepared to have your beliefs challenged and transformed. There have been several people who did form the reception theory, but over time, the reception theory has been interchangeable based on one's perspective. More on that later. A big part that contributed to the formation of the theory is phenomenology. A big question human society often had was the meaning of life. Edmund Husserl tried his best to produce an answer to that. Might be saying that wrong too. He invented a concept that is best known as bracketeering. Philosophy had too many concepts, but truly little hard evidence to back up that data of their claims. It limited the potential when it came to finding the answers many had sought. There must be another way to figure it out. That is how the reception theory is born. The whole idea is that they want to understand the author's mindset, to understand the meaning of the literary work better. A notable strength of the reader response theory is that it encourages objectivity. Objectivity strengthens the point someone is trying to make, since facts hold up as better evidence than emotions.
These are facts, and facts don't care about your feelings.
It is also important to note that language evolves throughout the years. A reader can enjoy a piece of literature that was written a century ago, since the words will remain the same to be interpreted. They may not have been around that period, but will understand what is written in front of them. Another notable strength of the reader response theory is that it encourages inclusivity. Romanticism and new criticism did not include the reader's interpretation when it came to literary analysis. Reader response, on the other hand, considers the reader's thoughts as well as the author's. The theory acknowledges the reader's involvement in literature if it aligns with the author's intentions. As Tyler Eagleton often emphasizes in his book, without the reader, there would be no classic literature to enjoy. When more people read a literary work, the possibility of deeper insight could be found that the author may not have previously seen before. A notable weakness in the reader response theory is the uncertainty it fails to solve. To elaborate, readers will read works that are centuries old. Usually, it also means that the author has been deceased for a long time. Another factor to consider is a lot of literary works are from foreign countries. The reader may have to rely on translations to comprehend the literary work. While it is encouraged to look things further, not all readers are willing to do that. As a result, the reception theory is a strong but incomplete solution to questions the readers would have while they interpret literature. Another notable weakness in the reader response theory is the instability it inadvertently brought to the literary sphere. In any piece of literary work, there can be multiple ways to interpret a work. Does the author have a say? Absolutely. Does that mean the reader will completely agree with what they say? Unlikely. The reader may have no idea who the author is at all. Once they do, they may agree to disagree. Simply, the reception theory states that any reader's interpretation of the literary work is valid if it procures along the author's meaning. The theory invites all possibilities, which can unleash a figurative Pandora's box of interpretations. A better way to define reception theory is to describe it as a personal theory. A few of the so-called founders I have done my best to research, who are also interpreters of the theory, had allowed their beliefs to bleed into the claims of their theories. It is not entirely their fault. One can argue this is due to the process of the times. However, their flaws must be addressed to better understand the objectivity the theory values is not always guaranteed. Matthew Arnold was a classist individual. A lot of claims in his theories implicate an underestimation of the working class. Heidegger's belief resonated with the Nazi Party, so he supported them and allowed them to influence his theory of the reception theory. Eagleton has written in Literary Theory and Introduction that he began authoring the book to challenge the notion of literature. As he authored the book throughout time, he concluded that literary works are harder to decipher than he expected in that chapter. Technically, he made his own interpretation or version of the reception theory by discussing the reception theory. A big aspect of the reception theory that was noticeable is how it stresses investment. It's not just certain individuals that can have a say in literary interpretation. The theory implies a commitment to the literary work in a sense. In literature, all individuals play a role in a literary environment. There is the author who creates the literary work and shares it among society. The other party is the reader who enjoys said literature. The main question in the literary community is, how are we supposed to properly read a literary work? The theory includes every individual as a reader in the literature community. As for yours truly, I have been an avid reader growing up. I strive to be among the authors I grew up with. There have been many people who were impressed with my storytelling skills. Despite my talent, so they say, I still find myself reading the classics of literary pieces. I analyze every detail of what I read in front of me. Literary analysis is second nature to me. In the back of my mind, I wonder if I can make an impact by producing the same level of aesthetic language that authors from long ago have written. It is one thing to create a short, simple fairy tale. It is another when you can comprehend, write, and inform a fellow reader at the same level of intelligence and or higher education that students would like to achieve and succeed in. The literature community can be a welcoming and isolating experience at the same time, which the reception theory wants to prevent. Before this next part, I want to address something. If you watch my make or break video, a lot of this will sound familiar. The topic was about the reception theory, which I had gotten a basic grasp on at the time. I don't expect myself to be qualified as an educator or any professional. I want to discuss what I learned and make it as digestible as possible. The following reflection has been expanded on once I got a better understanding of it. When one stops to think about it, the reception theory does not truly belong to anyone. But at the same time, it does not belong to everyone. Another factor I have noted as I reflect on the reception theory is the power the readers can have on the author and the literary work. This is a result of how the times have evolved since the reception theory was first created. A stark difference between the 1960s and contemporary times, or present times, is how more information is available to the public. Readers have a higher chance of reaching contact with the author through online communications, such as email and social media. The reception theory emphasizes that all literary interpretations are valid. It assures the reader that the opinion they made up their mind on their literary work, perspective, is correct. When the readers collaborate and overtake the meaning of the literature against the author, it is possible the author will no longer have control of their creation. That type of atypical situation is an example of what makes this theory so fascinating. The real question we should ask ourselves is, why can't we just read literature as we see fit? That does not mean the author is no longer allowed to write multiple meanings, provoke deep insight, jot down foreshadowing, or restrict their writing style. Given the time period certain literature works were written, it is understandable that they had to apply metaphors or euphemisms for their own sake. If they did not silence themselves, they would be ostracized by society. Modern literature does not have to deal with that social stigma nowadays. Over time, it is apparent that literature makes an impact. When someone reads literature, they learn something even if it does not appear so. There are many forms of entertainment that are available to us. Out of all the types of enjoyment, literature is a timeless hobby to indulge yourself in. The best example of how the reader response theory made a legacy is fandoms. Fandoms are a community of readers and united to enjoy the same literature together. Including readers in literature allows it to continue impacting lives. There have been stories dedicated to preserving the interest of literature. Should we take a literature piece as it is told right in front of us? Or should we read into something deeper? I would say the answer is that we should read as we want to and not allow anyone else to gatekeep our literary enjoyment. That may have been the goal of the theory all along. If that was the purpose, I am certain to say it has succeeded. Literature is the oldest form of entertainment. If it were not for the readers, there would not be endless stories for everyone to enjoy.
Where one teacher stands in front of 20 kids, each one having different strengths, different needs, different gifts, different dreams, and you teach the same thing the same way? That's horrific. Ladies and gentlemen, the defendant should not be acquitted. This may be one of the worst criminal offenses ever to be committed. And let's mention the way you treat your employees.
Objection. Overruled. I want to hear this.
It's a shame. I mean, teachers have the most important job on the planet, yet they're underpaid? No wonder so many students are short-changed.